Thank you very much. So thank you for joining us. It's actually, it's a big day for Dynamics 365. We announced this morning a number of new products, hundreds of new capabilities for Dynamics 365. And so we're going to share some of that with you today, take you through some demos, kind of bring to life in terms of our products some of the stories that we heard about elevators and solar energy and containers. And so a lot to show you and a lot to tell you. I don't want to revisit what Jean-Philippe said, other than just to punctuate that digital transformation is real. Across every single industry, the changes that we're seeing across the way that we engage our customers, the nature of our products, it's forcing every company to rethink business processes, and as companies do that, industries are literally reorganizing. You look across just about every industry, and the way that customers are engaged, the way that businesses run, the way products are delivered is transforming. And one of the questions that we frequently get is, and by the way, if you ask two people what does digital transformation mean, you'll get two entirely different answers. You ask 10 people, you'll get 10 different answers. And one of the questions that we frequently get is, how do we proceed from here? What do we do next? What's the prescription for digital transformation? How do you make it real and less abstract? And so we've created this point of view about digital feedback loops. And we've sort of oriented our entire innovation process around this point of view. And so let's go through three things. The way that you engage your customers, the nature of your products and services, and the kind of people that we need in our companies and how you go find them, convince them to join your company instead of the competition, and make them successful when they join your company. We'll go through each one of these three in succession. So you talk about digital transformation, and it was punctuated throughout the morning's conversation. Data is at the center. Data is everything, frankly, in digital transformation. And what's changed in the world is that data is coming out of everything. Every time I tweet, every time I show up at a website, every time I walk into a store, every time I use a connected product, there's data flowing about that interaction. And that's fuel that if you take it and analyze it, you can gain intelligence and learn a lot about, in this case, your customer. What are their wants and needs? What are their interests? What's their intent? And if you take that intelligence and then bake that into your business processes, you've got the ability to engage far more intelligently than you ever could before. And really, that's sort of the essence of what we're trying to allow our customers to do, to take data from these observations and interactions, learn from it, and then use that to intelligently power business processes. Two things happening on the customer side. And by the way, this whole customer engagement cycle, that's historically the domain of CRM. And historically, CRM has been an application category largely about the known knowns. You were in my CRM system if I knew you. If I had your name and your contact information, I had a record of you. But back to the two things that are changing. Number one, most of our interactions now start in anonymous form. When you show up to my website, you're just a cookie on the other side of some browser session. Or you're a Twitter handle talking about my brand somewhere, and I can't connect the dots between that and an actual identity. And so the ability to engage our customers or our prospects before we even know who they are, and yet still retaining and building a record of those interactions, so as you eventually cross the divide to a known opportunity, that you can connect those dots and continue to build that relationship, core to sort of this change in customer engagement. Now, on the product side, same sort of thing is happening. And this, I would suggest, is largely the ERP domain, where you gather supplies from your supply chain, you manufacture, you warehouse the products, you distribute through your distribution channels, hopefully get paid at some point. But in that world, in the old world, and old as in like 6 months or 12 months ago, when your products left your warehouse and hit your distribution chain, they were gone. The only way you got any insight into the use or health of those products was through physical inspection. Totally different now. Everything's connected. I've got a stream of information coming back now from products, whether they're consumer products, whether they're capital equipment, telling me the use the state of consumables, the health of these products. Same thing with services. You know, if you think about the taxi industry, historically, you know, service, where I would stand out on a street corner and hail a ride, and that was a very private affair that was data-free as far as the taxi company was concerned between a rider and a taxi driver. Now I pull out a phone and I ask for a ride, and it knows exactly where I am, and it knows who's available, and it keeps track of where I go, and this data flowing not only from products but from services that are digitally intermediated. That has huge fundamental implications for what's possible. You can learn from the actual use of your products and services where you may have manufacturing quality issues. You can watch the use of consumables and predict and pre-place inventory in order to accommodate what you know will be coming demand. You can find out earlier than you could before. In fact, you can find out in a way that you never could before that a product or a service is going sideways on you before it actually breaks for a customer, and predictively and proactively go do maintenance to keep the customer happy. And so thinking differently about what's possible on the product side is also fundamentally changing. Now I'm going to suggest that these two things are inextricably linked. You know, if I'm watching the use of a product or a service, I'm learning something about the customer that's using that product or service. And so these loops are interconnected inextricably. And I'm going to go one step further and suggest that this third loop about our people is also inextricably linked. And so think about the world that we're moving into. We're all competing for the same talent. We're looking for people who can embrace digital technologies, who can understand data, who can interact with customers and interact with connected products in a way that we never could before. And so finding those people, convincing them to join your company, training them, developing them, connecting them through digital means with your products, services, and customers is a requirement in order to be successful in this transformed economy. And I argue that this too is connected. I had a meeting with the CEO of Metro Bank, one of our customers, about 4 weeks ago that really sort of drove this home for me. He had just come back from sort of a tour of all their retail branches and was asking employees sort of, you know, how are things going? And he told me that every single conversation, the employees wanted to talk about this thing that they've built called mGreet, Metro Bank Greet. It's a power app, and you'll see power apps today, that allows a greeter in the retail banking branch to meet a customer as they come through the door. It's a mobile application that gives you insight into the customer, their history with the bank, suggestions on products and services that may be of interest. You can direct them to the right queues. You can tell them how long it's going to take before they're seen. You can text them if they want to go walk around. And you can tell them that all of this is available now on the web, so you can schedule so you never have to wait in a queue. And so this application, very exciting for the employees at the bank. But the other thing that sort of connects this third loop was the ability then to follow that customer as they go engage with a banker. Are you cross-selling and upselling? How much time are you taking to fill out a mortgage application or a safety deposit box? And this insight allows you to connect the dots now where you can go coach and train and develop the employees delivering those connected services, serving customers. And so all of these processes are connected. And if you look at Dynamics 365, we have taken this point of view that if you don't have a set of services that are connected and holistic, you're missing out on an opportunity to really drive a true digital transformation of your business. And so we'll talk about Dynamics 365 as it spans marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, talent, retail, and we'll talk about the platform today. But the most important thing that I want you to take away from my presentation is that it's not just about Dynamics 365, it's about the larger Microsoft Cloud. That's what really sets us apart from everyone else. The ability to take LinkedIn and Office 365 and Azure and all of these assets that we've built, largely built, by the way, A lot of this is sort of organically developed software that has been built in a layered fashion to compose incredibly well, to be unified in order to deliver experiences that are synergistic and that feel seamless. And so as we go through the demos that we're going to do this morning, we are going to show you not just Dynamics, but show you how all of these pieces of the Microsoft Cloud, and by the way, our partners, Adobe, Dave Welch is here, a good friend from Adobe who is one of our great partners, and he's going to show off how they too are part of this vision for digital transformation as rendered in this digital feedback loop concept. So let's talk about Dynamics 365 for a moment and focus just on it. We talk about 4 characteristics. What makes Dynamics Dynamics? It's these 4 things. It's modern, unified, intelligent, and adaptable. And we'll go through each one of these and talk about what we mean when we say these words. Now, business applications, I'm going to argue, have been unchanged forever. You go back and you look at mainframes, mini computers, client server, last generation SaaS solutions, and it's the same old, same old. You may have been looking at a green screen at some point, you may have been looking at a fat client on a PC, you may be looking at a browser, but you're looking at the same thing. It's forms over data, record-keeping systems, and in many ways, that's what they were. They were record-keeping systems. People call CRM, I've got a good friend who loves to talk about systems of oppression. And that CRM historically has largely been about allowing salespeople to give up information that allows their management chain to track their pipeline and to understand a forecast for what they're going to deliver. No one likes this. I've never, ever met a salesperson that wants to open up an old school CRM system and put stuff in. Right? It's a chore. But we are on the verge of software systems, business applications that are fundamentally different for the first time, where you've got curated experiences that are mobile, that are with you, that are infused with intelligence, that are connected to social networks, that can give you guidance and advice that actually help you succeed, that you want to use, not because they're monitoring you, but because they are giving you advice and guiding you to success. That's transformative. And that's what we mean by modern, both in terms of what's provided and how it's provided. And we'll show that as we go through some of our demos. One of the things that we sort of call out about Dynamics 365 is its ability to be adopted without ripping and replacing your core systems. Dynamics 365 is modular. You can decide that you want to go attack your field service business process and bring a solution in that does just that, works with whatever else you have, or you can go transform your customer service operation, or you can go transform how you find people using LinkedIn and Dynamics 365. You can start where you want, but the important thing is that it's all unified. The more you use, the more synergistic value you get, in part because it's all built on a common data substrate. And one of the announcements that we made today, this morning, was the introduction of the Common Data Service for Apps and the Common Data Service for Analytics that sits beneath these applications and ties them together seamlessly and without integration effort. So if you're making a sale out of Dynamics 365 for sales and promising a key customer that you're going to deliver a piece of factory equipment on a certain date, you see your inventory position and you're not making things up, right? So connecting these systems together on top of a common data substrate and a common process substrate is sort of core to the system. Now, it's not just Dynamics, though. Office 365 also built atop this common data platform that allows us to not just look at your structured business processes, but your communication patterns. Emails, meetings, documents, interactions, and collaboration, bringing that into this graph of information that allows you to gain intelligence, as we'll talk about next. LinkedIn. So now we're bringing data that's not just your data, but enhancing your data with signal from outside the 4 walls of your company, understanding the relationships that your employees, that your salespeople, that your suppliers may have with one another, and this is an open platform. So our partners, too, are extending the common data model, building atop this substrate, and offering solutions that just work when your data is in this form. And we'll talk about what Adobe's doing in just a few minutes, but they're one of our leading partners. We also announced this morning, by the way, CUNA Mutual, which is a leading credit union company, a financial services company in the United States, our first partner who is working with us to extend the common data model, not just from marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, and talent, sort of core horizontal business processes, but into the financial services industry, where we're going to start to add more and more capabilities that are industry-specific, allowing our customers to find solutions that just work with their data. Now, data is in a vacuum or unprocessed or without intelligence. I just call it what it is. Data is like a tree falling in the forest. You know, did it really make a sound? Did it really create value? And so the most important part of all of this data is our ability to go create value from that data, to gain insights, to gain intelligence in order to drive those intelligent business processes that we talked about earlier in the conversation. This is an area where, I'll be honest, I think Microsoft, is a company that invests incredibly deeply. We've spent 2 decades and tens of billions of dollars on primary research in AI that's infused throughout our products, and we don't talk about it as much as others do. We like to deliver, and we're not so good at the talk part necessarily. And so today, we're going to show you what intelligence means. We're going to show you the ability to actually use this incredible asset that we have at the company in the context of these business processes without putting a pretty name on it, without jumping up and down and screaming. We're just going to show you value being created in the context of our customer accounts. The last part, and perhaps the most important part, is the adaptability of Dynamics 365. No business application is ever exactly what you need it to be. There's industry-specific needs, there are needs for given geographies, and so one of the most important things we've done is to build an ecosystem of partners. Many of you in the room, in fact, thank you for your partnership, are delivering solutions that build on top of this common data substrate on this platform and allow Dynamics 365 to be tailored for industries, for geographies, and for specialist needs without having to sort of leave the family, if you will, making Dynamics what you need it to be. But no application is ever finished. And the need to tune for your own special business processes, the ability to take data and learn from that data and use that to go transform your processes in an evolving way. As soon as you think your application's done, your market changes. And if your application can't change, you're stuck, right? And so this adaptability that we're going to spend a lot of time on is critically important. And those 4 things really sort of wrap up the essence of Dynamics. But the thing that, again, I want to leave you with, Dynamics lives in the larger Microsoft cloud, and that's where the real difference lies. Now, I mentioned this earlier. This is the biggest release we've ever done, ever, in business applications at Microsoft. It's actually, I'm not sure this is a good idea, but it is what it is. We've got hundreds of pages of features that we rolled out today across marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, talent, retail, application, intelligence, media platform. I mean, it's stunning, the amount of innovation that we shipped and announced today. We'll show you some of that, and as I'll mention later, we've got an opportunity for you to learn a heck of a lot more. But this is a freight train of innovation that we rolled out today that you will continue to see roll out. Microsoft has more than doubled down on this part of our business. Business applications are one of the most important investments that we're making at the company, and we're making it not in a vacuum, but in the context of the larger Microsoft cloud. And today is evidence of that investment and the seriousness with which we are sort of pushing into the digital transformation opportunity for our customers. So that's sort of enough context setting. Let's get to the good stuff. So let's take a look at some of the capabilities that we are delivering through our services, both Dynamics 365 and the larger Microsoft cloud. And the first one we're going to look at is connected marketing and sales. Now, one of the hallmarks, I think, of the demos that we're going to see here today is sort of a shift from reactive to proactive. I talked about that a little bit earlier. You know, business applications used to be largely about record keeping. That's more or less what they were. And so moving from, hey, I'm maintaining a bunch of records to, I've got a system that's alongside me now that's helping me think about what I should do next, that's infused with intelligence, that's there when I need it. That's really sort of the feeling that you get, I believe, when you watch these demos. And so we're going to do that with connected marketing and sales. But before we do that, I want to ask Dave Welch to come out from Adobe. Dave is a good friend and leads for Adobe much of their Experience Cloud. Dave, why don't you come on out? Sorry.
Psych. Hey, James, how are we doing?
Good, good. And so, you know, Dave and I have done this actually before a couple of times, and we spent a lot of time together. It's been a great relationship. I think that, you know, the partnership between Microsoft and Adobe is a very special one. I had an industry analyst that came out and sort of looked at what we're doing together and said, this is not your same old partnership. The depth of our relationship is very, very, very deep. But before we talk about that, you know, talk to me a bit, Dave, about what's happening in marketing in general. What are some of the changes that are occurring? You speak to marketers every day. What are you hearing out there?
Well, like you, James, we're in the digital transformation business. Our lens on the digital transformation business, though, is through experiences and helping our customers drive fantastic experiences for their customers. And in fact, our mission at Adobe is that we're changing the world through digital experiences. And so what we see our customers doing is pivoting towards not so much selling products anymore, but selling more experiences. So that experience could be your taxi hailing app that you were talking about. It could be ordering your morning latte on your way into work, or it could be, you know, as I'm getting ready to get into my hotel last night, I was checking in to that hotel, bypassing kind of the check-in line, checking in online before I got there. So, you know, for us and for marketers, it's all about driving very personalized, kind of individual, exciting experiences that engage their customers.
Got it. And so we've done a lot of work together. We got a lot more work to do, but we've done a heck of a lot of work already. Talk about our relationship, the partnership, and what we're doing together.
So the kind of the basis of the partnership, Adobe and Microsoft have been partners for years and years and years and years.
Decades.
Longer than you and I have been around. But about 18 months ago, exactly. About 18 months ago, we joined hands and we said that we're going to drive kind of an experience platform across marketing, sales, and support. And so what we're doing broadly is just taking our solutions and integrating them very deeply on behalf of our customers. So on our side, we have our Experience Cloud, we have our Document Cloud, we have our Creative Cloud. We're taking those solutions, especially our Experience Cloud and our Document Cloud, and we're doing integrations with Dynamics 365, with Power BI, just pulling our products together so that our customers don't have to.
Got it. And we're doing that on a common data substrate. We've got a shared data model. Talk a bit about that and how you guys do that.
So yeah, common data model. So if I can tease that apart a little bit, common data model for both of us and common data services. So you called out common data services for apps. So that's where we're doing some really deep collaboration is around kind of two things. One is the common data model and the second is the common data service. On the common data model, you guys have in your solutions data models that describe a customer or describe a support event, right? A customer support ticket. On our side, we have what we call experience data models. And experience data models are things that describe a campaign or an offer, something like that. And so what we're doing is sharing data models. And what that means is as data comes into, as kind of third-party data comes in, we call it third-party data, but your data comes into our platform, we're bringing that in as a common data model format. which means that we already know how to action that data. We don't have to transform it. We don't have to do custom loading of it. So I think that's pretty cool. So any data that comes in, we know how to treat it. We will know how to treat it as we're collaborating on common data model. On the common data services side, this is where you've got your substrate kind of crossing all of your dynamic solutions. We've got the same thing on our side. Our experience data model, experience data pipeline crosses all of our solutions. And at a foundational level, very platformy level, what we're doing is bringing those two things together so that they talk to one another. And so what I think that ends up with, James, is that as we pull together our solutions together across CDS and XDM, we're going to be like brothers. We're going to be like native applications to one another. We're just going to know how to deal with data and coming in from one another's applications.
Got it. Yeah, and so I think that's a good way to wrap it up for the audience. I think that if you think about the benefit of coming together at that platform level, really building atop the same substrate, sharing that data model vision. Someone can adopt Dynamics 365, they can adopt Adobe products, they can adopt Office 365, and they all just work. The days of trying to integrate and have integrations are over when you build atop that same common platform.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the value that we're bringing is doing the integrations on behalf of customers so that they don't have to do that. But also just bringing our data together, bringing our platforms together. I mean, at Adobe, we, in the experience business, we have our analytics cloud, we have our marketing cloud, and we're collecting, a lot of information about what you're reacting to over the web or in a mobile app or campaigns or advertisements that you're offered. And so we're collecting that and we're building audiences and segments around audiences so that we get insights like somebody hasn't visited, they're a frequent website visitor, but they haven't visited in the past 30 days. On your side, though, when we start pulling in that data from Dynamics, we can get some real insight as to, well, perhaps the reason why the person hasn't visited our website in the past 30 days is because they logged a support ticket, 2 weeks ago, and oh my gosh, we need to be treating them with like kid gloves because we want to get them back into the fold.
Got it.
Right?
Good.
So I think those are the things that, bringing our data sets together and bringing our applications together really provide a lot of value for our joint customers.
Better insights, more intelligence, better experiences.
You got it.
All right, good. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks, James.
And so to see this, Ryan Martin is going to come out and actually show these things working together. So take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thank you, Dave. So today, what we're going to look at is how the Adobe Marketing Cloud and Dynamics 365 really help drive digital transformation and allow you to engage customers in new ways. Specifically, we're going to be looking at how Microsoft are adopting these solutions. And in this demo example, I'm going to play two separate personas. The first persona is of a lead, Reint van der Meulen from Dunlop Protective Footwear, who is looking at Dynamics 365 for his organization. And as Reint takes these actions, we're going to be qualifying that lead, and we're going to pass it on to the second persona that I'm going to play, which is Veronica, a Microsoft sales representative. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm Reint right now, a lead who's browsing the Dynamics 365 website. So I'm gathering information here, but I'm anonymous at this particular point. And as I start to drill in further, I'm looking at the capabilities around Dynamics 365 for sales, and I'm perhaps watching a video or I'm requesting a demo. Now, why is this important? Because in the background with Adobe Marketing Cloud, we're actually able to follow all of the steps that are taking place. For example, as I drill into the capabilities of our sales app, I start to see that infused artificial intelligence and what we've done with Sales Navigator for personal engagements is important to me. So at this particular moment, I'm quite busy during the day, and I go to a meeting that I have, and I stop actually the browsing of what I've done. As I return from that particular meeting, probably like many of you, you check the news, you start to read some articles. But what Adobe has actually done here, based on the actions that I've taken, is provided a targeted ad for Dynamics 365. And as I click on this targeted ad, that's actually the moment that I become a qualified lead. I provide specific details, and we can start to pass this on to a sales representative. So for those of you who are interested, what does that journey actually look like in Adobe? This is an example of the campaign flow that's actually running in real time, and as we get to a particular moment in the qualification score, we're passed on to Dynamics 365. So I'm going to switch personas now. I'm going to become the sales representative working at Microsoft. I'm Veronica. I'm in Dynamics 365 for sales, and of course, I have all of the information that we've just seen. First of all, I'm given a step-by-step business process that's going to give me the actions we need to take to qualify this lead. Secondly, and I think this is maybe one of the most important pieces, oftentimes a lot of data is captured by marketing, and it's not passed on to our sales colleagues. They don't know what happened as that anonymous lead was browsing the website. So what we're actually able to do here is see every single action that Ryan took on our website. For example, he browsed relationship sales. He watched the overview. He even signed up for an invitation for a trial. So as I'm having the dialogue with Ryan on the phone, I'm actually able to inquire about the steps that were taken and take action on those things. So let's fast forward in our story a couple weeks. I'm a salesperson, and something I care a lot about is my bonus. And I have a quota, and I'm not going to make that quota at this moment. Perhaps you see here, I have over a 500,000 problem reaching the quota for the end of this year, so it's not going to be good at home either. So as I drill in, what I want to do is see how I'm going to solve that quota. And every CRM system we know out there has a pipeline. And of course, that pipeline has an estimated closing date, it has a probability, it has an estimated revenue, and we have that as well. But this is where Dynamics 365, Office 365, and Azure really start to play together. So perhaps you see here in the center of the screen, we see relationship health. And at the deal that we're looking at on Dunlop, it's fair and steady. And how is that calculated? It's based on structured and unstructured data. So all of the communications we're sending in the form of an email, a phone call, a meeting, anything that our team members are doing is being aggregated against a set of KPIs, and it's being analyzed across all the other opportunities in the system. And it's actually telling me that I'm in a fair state and the health is not improving. So now I'd like to drill in and see what kind of best next actions are we going to get to improve the health state in the application. So I've been sending Ryan some emails, and I actually see that I sent him another email 3 hours ago. He did open it, but he's not responding to me. Now, what Dynamics is doing with the relationship assistant is actually saying, hey, we'll give you a best next action, which is actually to utilize the power of your LinkedIn network to ask for a warm introduction to this person you're trying to sell to. Now, as you probably know, the LinkedIn network is over 500 million members strong, and as I select this here, right in Dynamics 365, we have that network in the palm of our hands. So I can see that Ryan is a second-degree connection, but I can actually look here at the Get Introduced area and start to see the related connections that we have in common. And it just so happens to be that Alfred, someone that I've spent a lot of time working with in the past, is a first-degree connection with Ryan. And probably you all know as well that cold calling is not as easy as it's going to be when you ask someone to respond to them on your behalf. So let's actually go ahead and take that action. I'm going to reach out to Ryan here, and what you'll notice is we jump into the Sales Navigator experience, but for those of you who are worried about data consistency, every single action I take in Sales Navigator is fully synchronized with Dynamics 365, and we have the 360-degree view. So as we type Alfred a message here, and we have a little script running so I don't make any typing mistakes, so don't worry, I'm not that good of a typer. But as we type this message in, we're actually going to ask him for the introduction, and we're going to send that. Now, the good news is that Alfred actually did provide the introduction to Ryan. We start to gain some tractions, and I want to get back to where we started with in this demonstration, and that's giving Ryan the valuable information about Dynamics 365. And what I've done, another tool within LinkedIn, is prepare a point drive. This is a digital dossier of the content that I've prepared that I think is most applicable to the customers that I'm dealing with. So I'm very easily able here to get a link, send that to Ryan, and then, as Ryan starts to view the information, I can look at the statistics that are available around that dossier. Now, again, this is something marketing organizations have had always the capability to do in terms of landing pages and number of viewers that they've got, but now a sales representative can create their own dossier and get those same insights. So I can actually look at the viewers here, see that Ryan is looking at the information I've sent, I receive an email from Ryan to make a quotation, and we actually drive the deal towards closure. So what I've shown so far today is we started with a completely anonymous lead looking at our website, all the way to that lead becoming qualified, me encountering a blocked, stalled deal, using the power of my network to unblock that deal, provide content to them, and I can happily say Dunlop Protective Footwear are a happy customer of Dynamics 365. So back to you, James.
Thank you, Ryan. So it's, I'll come back to 2 points here. No, it's the data. The data sitting beneath these systems and the ability to stitch it all together into a converged experience that is seamless across the marketing function, the sales function, the communication function, across the anonymous to known divide. Pulling all of that together is transformative. And the second thing I'll say is, that it was versus sort of the system of oppression of old, this was a system that I would want to use as a salesperson. It helped me get connected with a customer. It helped me understand where to focus my energy. And so guiding me towards success makes this a system that I love versus loathe, which is sort of the traditional CRM reality, if we're being honest with ourselves. And so let's look at the next scenario here, intelligent customer service. And again, the key here is moving from a posture where we're being purely reactive to a posture where our business applications are allowing us to transform a business process into a proactive process. With customer service in particular, what I want to do is avoid needing to deliver customer service. That's sort of number one. If I can keep the customer from hurting themselves or from getting into a problem where they need to call me, that's the best possible outcome from a customer service perspective. Or if I can allow the customer to find solutions to their own problems in a low-cost and very scalable way, that's sort of the next best click stop. And so we're going to take a look now at a demo, again by Ryan, showing our intelligent customer service capability. Ryan, take it away.
Yep. Thanks, James. So in this particular demo, we're going to actually be looking at the Azure Bot Framework and Dynamics 365 for customer service. And in this example, I'm actually going to be playing 3 different personas. The first persona will be a consumer who browses a website and begins in a dialogue with a chat bot. Now, what's very interesting about that chat bot is you immediately have global scale in your organization at this moment. It's always on, 24/7. Another interesting fact is the fact that if I would start to respond in Dutch to this bot, it will actually start to respond back to me in Dutch. So it's capable of multilingual support. Now, this is, of course, great for enterprises, but any company can adopt this and achieve that global scale. The second persona I'm going to play is of a customer service representative who's pulled into the conversation due to the fact that the bot has detected negative sentiment. And so we automatically route a human agent within there. Thirdly, I'll be playing a business analyst who elevates the discussion from the single chat that we'll be looking at and sees how we're performing at a global scale and can notice a problem within Australia, and we're actually going to solve that particular problem as well. So with that, let's go to the demo. And as I mentioned, the first persona is a consumer on this car insurance website. So as I browse this particular website, I see the ability here to do a live chat. And we can begin, with some very simple Q&A in which the bot starts to respond to me. I'm asking, what can you do? It's telling me it's 24/7 available, and it tells me that it's in 52 different countries around the world. Very simple stuff. Of course, you would expect that. Let's start to get a little more specific here. I need insurance. Now, this is the first moment that this bot has made connection with Dynamics 365. And what it's done is it's looked at the product catalog that we're offering, and it's pulling that in a very user-friendly way for me to pick from the different product categories that we offer in terms of insurances as our company. Now, the first category, as I mentioned, I'm looking for automotive insurance. And so as I select that category, the bot actually says, OK, I can help you with the policy. But I've been anonymous at this point. So we need to provide some form of authentication before this is going to start giving me some pricing information. So I am an existing customer, and I'm actually going to fill in my name. So I'm playing the role of Lance Olson at this moment, and then it's going to ask me for a personal identification number. So as we do that, there's actually quite an important part here as well. The experience is about ready to change. It's going to go into Dynamics 365. It's going to pull up my personal contact profile, and it's going to see that it can offer me a 10% multi-discount policy. And now the bot is actually looking at an upsell opportunity and saying, we notice you have a daughter who turned 16 years old. Can we add this in the quotation that we're making for you? And lastly, even pulling up my contact profile in the personalized way. So yes, I would like to include this, my daughter in this policy. So we're going to start to get a little bit more specific here. It's going to categorize the car, the type of car that I'm going to insure. So in this case, I'm driving a sedan, and it is a Ford that I'm driving. Now, the last two questions it's going to ask me is the make and the model. So here we have a Fusion, and we're going to say, hey, that car is from 2015. So if you're like me, there's probably a few things in life you'd like to take pictures of. I like taking pictures of cars, but I also very much like taking pictures of my family. And at this moment, the bot is actually asking for a photo of my car because it's going to use cognitive services to analyze the state of my car, which is going to affect the insurance price that I have. So I'm not really paying attention here, and I do say, yes, I do have a picture of my car. It tells me that I can use the image uploader to select that. And as I mentioned, I just grab a picture here that we've got going. And oops, I uploaded a picture of my brand newborn baby and my dog Maggie at home. Now, what's most important here is the cognitive services, as it starts to analyze this picture, is actually going to say, hey, guess what? That doesn't look like a car. It looks more like a baby sleeping next to a dog. And that is 100% real. We do this demo a lot of times. We ask people what pictures they like. We upload it. Cognitive services can actually analyze that and do it. So let's get a little more serious here and actually upload the picture of the car that we're trying to insure, which is that Ford that I've got. And one of the things I also like here, in a very human-esque way, it's going to compliment me on the car that I'm driving. It's going to say, hey, that's a nice purchase. I have all the information that I need from you at this moment. And it's going to go back into Dynamics 365 and pull up the quotation for me. But this is the moment that I'm not going to be happy actually in life, because I don't know about you, but I don't like paying $316 a month for the insurance on my car. So I'm going to give a negative sentiment here. No way, that's too expensive. And as I do that, what the bot is doing in the background is actually looking for the available agents in the organization, and it's bringing Jane into this conversation so that she can begin the discussion with me. And what I would like to do at this moment is switch personas and show you what Jane, on the other side, who was brought into this conversation, would be seeing. So as we switch to this, it's probably very familiar to the screen I showed you in the first demo. I'm working in Dynamics 365, and we have an opportunity. But in this case, we're in the propose stage of that opportunity because the bot already qualified it, it did already develop it, and actually it's added the product line items here as well. Now, on the right-hand side, we can see the transcript, including the nice picture of my dog and my daughter. But what I draw your attention to is the center of the screen, if possible. What we're doing with AI here is analyzing all the running opportunities that we have, all of the sentiment that we're capturing, and we're seeing that there's a 65% churn risk of me as a customer based on the response I gave. So it's great to know there's a problem, but what we also do is we tell this agent, if you apply a 15% discount, you are going to most likely keep this person as a customer within your organization. And those are the exact actions that I'm going to take here. I'm going to go to the product line items. I'm going to add the discount, continue the chat with the customer that we have, and onboard them into our organization. So as I mentioned to you, I was going to play 3 personas. And now I'm switching to the third persona, which is the business analyst, who's looking at a Power BI dashboard of everything that we have going on in the world. So at this moment, we have over 18,000 chats that have happened today. We're looking at the new business that's coming in. We can actually go into the word cloud and see how we have topics on the website that turn into themes. But as I mentioned, we've got something going on in Australia. So I'd like to drill into the actual global map and start to see why is there a problem in Australia. And as I do that, the word cloud is actually going to adapt, and immediately it jumps out to me. Our biggest competitor in the Australian market is Contoso Insurance, and the other word that's coming up is expensive. So I'm being informed here that based on the chats that are going on, we're continually seeing the phrases come up, Contoso Insurance and expensive. So as a business analyst, the actions I'm going to take is actually review the price points we have in that marketplace, adapt them so we are competitive, and we can drive more business. So again, what we've seen here today is an anonymous chat that began on a website, which turned into a full-fledged opportunity, but had negative sentiment, so we had to bring a human agent in to drive and close the deal based on AI giving us the next best step. And lastly, looking at it as a global scale and adapting our price point so we're more competitive in the market. And with that being said, back to you, James, and thank you for your time.
My head is I'm just going to play one persona for you guys. I'm just going to be James up here. And so, again, you go back to the power of data here. The ability to take data from all of these systems, the ability to apply intelligence, the ability to deliver an experience that's differentiated in its ability to take that data and to act on it in an intelligent way to transform that business process. Fundamental change in the ability for a software system, a business application, to add value into a business process versus simply being a record-keeping system. The customer service agent was guided based on data science to precisely the right activity after observing many interactions and their outcomes. And so using intelligence on top of data to impact this business process. Now, I talked earlier, I sort of hinted at the proactive field service opportunity where products are connected, customers are connected to products, data's flowing, and the ability to detect long before there is a failure that a failure is imminent. And to offer field service in a way that allows customers to not get unhappy so that you're putting yourself into sort of the best possible position, not having to respond to customer service at all in the first place. This demo, for me, is I think is perhaps the most interesting one because it also brings in HoloLens and sort of a very different experience that's delivered to deliver all of that intelligence and data at the point of business process execution, but in a completely new way from an experiential perspective. And so to take a look at that, Lydia's going to come show us our partner's PTC demo.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. Thank you. So one of the biggest challenges field service organizations face is ensuring they're sending the right person to the right place at the right time. And with Dynamics 365 for field service, we're essentially transforming the way our customers work. So they can move from a very traditional reactive break-fix approach to a much more proactive, consistent service model. So to do that, we're empowered by Azure IoT and HoloLens. So let's take a look at how that works. I'm a dispatcher in a service center, and I've started to receive IoT alerts from sensors on devices in customer sites. And if you can see on screen, I've received a high severity alert. So what I want to do is jump into that and find out what potential problems we might be facing. And what we're seeing here is live IoT data from the device, and it's giving me much more information about the current state of play. And what we want to avoid is any downtime for customers. So I'm going to go ahead and manage this. Now, I have enough information that I could attempt to manage this remotely. I could send a command out from Dynamics to the application, and it would reset the motor. But in this case, I think we're going to send someone out into the field. So Dynamics 365 has intelligently created a work order for me. And within that, we're going to find all the information that we need to go ahead and complete a repair. So on here, I can see who the customer is. I can see their previous incidents. And within the bill of materials, we can see there's an 80% chance of failure in the next 100 days. And we want to act proactively. We want to avoid any downtime for customers. So we're going to go ahead and book an engineer. And within my work order, I can see all of the tasks that I actually need to complete to successfully complete that repair. But the challenge I face is that we have many different field service engineers based all around the globe, and they've got really varying skill sets. So to know who is the most appropriate engineer to send out can definitely be a challenge. And with Dynamics 365 for field service, it's going to identify the most appropriate engineer for me. And it's going to take lots of factors into consideration. It's going to take into consideration their availability and their location to minimize travel time. It's going to look at their skill set. But it's also going to consider things like customer preference and their SLA. So it's identified the most appropriate engineer for me. And what we're now going to take a look at is the experience for that engineer in the field. So changing hats, I'm now the engineer, and I'm out in the field, and I'm spending my time on customer sites completing repairs. So what I have with me is my mobile device, and I've had a notification to let me know that a new work order has been allocated to me in the field. And I jump into the work order within the application, and it gives me all of the information that I need. I can see who the customer is, I can see the priority, I can see the specific instructions for the tasks I need to complete, and I can even see which parts I might need to replace. And if I scroll down, once we've completed the work order, I can get my customer to sign off easily in the field. So as I said, I'm in the field, I'm on customer sites, signal is patchy. So fortunately, the entire application works completely offline, so I have this support no matter what the case is with the signal. So I come onto site, and as I approach my motor, I realize it's one I'm less familiar with. I work in the field every day with lots of different pieces of equipment, so it's not realistic that I'm able to repair every device without any kind of support. So I would like some support. And historically, to receive that support, I might have to call another colleague, another engineer on the phone, or maybe even get them to come out on site to help me, which is very cost ineffective. Or I might have to go into my van, find a 100-page manual, and filter through it and try and figure out how to actually solve this problem. Now, that's not very effective. So we're going to see now how with the power of HoloLens and ThingWorks by PTC, I'm going to get supported through the entire process in real time. So I'm going to pop my HoloLens on. And what we have on stage here is a second HoloLens, so you can all experience the exact same experience that I'm seeing right now. And essentially, it's a 4-step process. So the first step process is to get the HoloLens to identify the motor, and we've done that. And I'm now going to move on to the second stage. And in the second stage, I'm going to do some analysis. So I'm going to click Analyze, and it's going to bring up my IoT data. And if I turn on the motor, I'm going to get some new analytics. So what we should be able to see when I turn it on is the voltage and the current are going to update. So let's give that a try. So I now have a better understanding of how this motor is functioning, and it's now time to go ahead and complete my repair. But as I said, it's a model I'm less familiar with, so what I would like is some real-time guidance. So if I move on to step 3, and then if I switch this on, it's going to present on screen an exact demonstration of how to complete the repair. So it's going to show me the process, it's going to show me how to break the motor apart, add the new parts in, and then reassemble it to complete the repair. And I can watch this as many times as I want until I feel comfortable to actually go ahead and do it. And what's great is this is all being presented to me without having to use my hands. So I can actually get on with the repair rather than rifling through my manual while I'm doing that. So I can watch that as many times as I want, and then I can go ahead and complete the repair. And if there's any problems, I could also dial in a colleague on Skype via the HoloLens to get some support. But in this case, I feel confident that I can go ahead and complete it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to move on to step 4. And I'm going to sign that off to say that the process is complete. So using Dynamics 365 for field service, I've been able to complete my repair in half the time it would have taken previously. I've successfully avoided any downtime for my customers, and I've ultimately given them a great customer experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. So we actually have a customer that sells equipment that is used in the dairy industry, milking cows and processing, pasteurizing, that sort of thing. Huge user of HoloLens exactly for this. They'll have repair people that are in a remote area with some old equipment, because this stuff lasts for decades, with someone back at the headquarters that's able to sort of walk folks through, seeing the experience, allowing to overlay the scene with exactly what needs to get done. I mean, it looks futuristic, but it's actually real, and it's in use today. I think, to me, this whole mixed reality, the ability to take the real world and overlay an alternate reality to sort of guide you, is just incredible, and I think game-changing. But data, of course, is what makes it possible. Pulling the data from across all of these systems and delivering it in a unique way takes a process that was historically very reactive, very break-fix, to use her words, into a very proactive posture with the business process, and sort of game-changing relative to the ability of this business application, ultimately, delivered very differently, but to guide a person through their job and to be a helping hand in many ways. Now, the last demo that we'll do, and the last sort of property of Dynamics 365 that we'll talk about is adaptable. And as I mentioned before, this is, it's critically important that you've got business applications that are able to sort of be melded into your environment. No business is the same. If business applications work the same for everyone, then everyone's a commodity effectively. And so the power of Power Apps, Power BI, Microsoft Flow, our larger data integration capabilities come together to make it possible to both tune Dynamics 365, Office 365, LinkedIn, but also to create new applications atop that same data substrate, the common data service that we talked about. Now, this is a company called IPS that has been around since about 1903. In one form or another, and they're in the business of doing this, repairing big motors and generators. This is a piece of equipment out of an industrial motor. They have repair depots all over North America, and their business is these things show up, they run them through a process, they strip them down, inspect them, go through a set of repairs, document all of that, and then get it back to the customer. That's their core business. Now, this company, IPS, has one of everything. They've got ERP, CRM. In fact, they use Dynamics for CRM. And so they're not short of business applications. They can do the things that you would expect, tracking their inventory, tracking customer relationships and sales opportunities. But this process that is their core business, was run like this. You've got sticky notes on whiteboards, you've got clipboards, you've got Sony cameras, you've got people with calculators. Very, very manual process. After over a century, this is literally pictures from their shop floor. And the reason why they were operating this way is because it's hard to make software. It's hard to go build an application that allows you to take your special business process and to digitally transform it. And I'm going to argue it's those business processes are the ones that are most amenable to, or where you'll get the most bang for your buck, if you will, if you can digitally transform them. But that's where there's not an app for that. You can't go to an app store and find a digital transformation solution for motor and generator repair across North America. It just doesn't exist in the form that they need it to go run their core business process. And so they built a Power App. It's not the prettiest app, but this is actually their app. They built this application in 3 weeks on the shop floor with the people actually doing the business process to allow this transformed experience from motor shows up and it's in a black hole with a bunch of clipboards and sticky notes. And by the way, when those sticky notes come off the job, they hit the trash can and that's all your data. Right? And so this business process is not only manual, it ends up data poor at the end of everything. And so now with Power Apps, they've got the ability, because it's linked into their ERP system, it's linked into CRM, it operates on a tablet, to meet that motor as it comes to the loading dock, as it shows up, to guide the repair person through the entire process. You take the pictures right there with the tablet. It does the calculations automatically. It assembles a multi-page PDF document that goes back to the customer. All of this was so transformative for them that when you go to their website, and this is a true story. I discovered this accidentally. I went to the IPS website to grab a logo, and I went to the About section of their website. This picture's on there. They are so proud of this application and the impact that it had on their business that they show it off as a competitive advantage. And here's the thing that's most special for them. Because they're capturing all of this data, because it's a digitally transformed experience, they're able to show their customers exactly where their motor is in the process. It used to be a black hole, as I said before. Motor would show up and the customer has no idea when it's coming back. Now you can see exactly where it is. It's like following your Uber in a mobile app. You can see exactly where you are in the process. And so this was, for them, not only transformative of the core process, but of their customer experience. And so back to tying these loops together. Very, very, very powerful. And it's a combination of Power BI, Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, the common data service, and all of the other assets that make it possible to go do this good work. And so I'm going to have Ryan Cunningham come out and show Intercars, which is another of our customers, who transformed their core business process using Power Apps, and he's going to do a build it on the fly to kind of give you a flavor of how this stuff works. So Ryan, take it away.
Thank you, James. Good morning, everyone. One more customer story for you. So Intercars is, for those not familiar, one of the largest distributors of automotive spare parts and repair supplies here in Europe. They're based in Poland. They serve 10,000 individual customer locations across 16 countries. And they do that with a field sales force of just about 600 people. If you do that math, that's one seller calling on sometimes 100 customer sites a month in person. That's 5 or 6 visits a day. Incredibly mobile frontline workforce. Now, Intercars is a Dynamics 365 customer. They run their business on Dynamics 365 end-to-end. They use a lot of what we've seen today and more. But like James mentioned, their true competitive advantage comes not just from what they can buy out of the box from us. It comes from what they can innovate and build on top of that, from the business processes that are not served by out-of-the-box applications. And I'll give you one very concrete example. Now, Intercars will sell an entire kit of parts to an auto repair customer. It comes, outfitted already, all these drawers filled with wrenches and sockets, but that's a great deal the day that they sell it. But fast forward a year or two down the line, some of these wrenches are missing, some of the sockets are gone, some things are broken. Restocking this asset, completely different proposition. It's difficult. Do you know how they were doing it up until a few months ago? They were sending those field sellers in from their truck with a 200-page book of parts, right? And they would clunk it down on a desk, and they'd flip it open, and they'd find the part, and they'd one by one tick off on a clipboard the individual socket wrench to restock. Incredibly manual process. Non-viable for the field seller who's there for 20 minutes a month on site. Now, of course, transforming that process, building a custom cross-platform mobile application just to restock a drawer, cost prohibitive. We can all imagine what that costs in a classic custom software development sense, right? That's teams of experts and specialists and full-stack developers. We're going to measure that process in months and maybe millions. Not anymore. And I want to show you today Power Apps. Power Apps is a high-productivity business application development platform. That means it makes the technical resources we already have in our organizations work more efficiently. But more than that, it opens up business application development to an entirely new category of employee. Business analysts, people close to their problem, who understand what needs to be done, now have the tools to do it themselves. Now, that's a big claim to make. So today, I want to prove it to you. What we're going to do is build this app for Intercars together from scratch. Now, I realize that building a business application from scratch in front of an audience like this is classically more like asking you to watch paint dry. But I promise this will be more fun because Power Apps is an incredibly visual environment. This does not look anything like your classic software development tool. I've got screens of an application, more like I would drop in slides in a presentation. And I can format them. I can bring rich assets to this picture as well. I can upload images, make it look like my company very easily. I can do all of this with skills that are familiar, that I've learned over decades of hundreds of millions of people using Office and Office 365. I can make this app look exactly like what I need it to be. But I'm not just pushing pixels around. Power Apps is connected to data. No business application happens in a vacuum. We all have information and systems all over the place, and Power Apps connects to more than 200 applications and data sources right out of the box. We've taken the science project of integration that typically prohibits a lot of these business applications from ever getting started and made it incredibly easy to pull in with just a few clicks, anything from Adobe to Zendesk and everything in between. But of course, in the case of Intercars, we have something even more powerful. We have the common data service. It's the data platform that comes with Power Apps that just today we've in fact announced a whole wealth of updates for coming right out of the Dynamics 365 platform. In fact, this is now the platform on which all of our Dynamics 365 products that you've seen today are natively built. And that means I can bring into my application here the accounts, the products that we're going to go visit, richly understanding not just the data there, but all of the logic, the relationships, the structure that pull these things together. Now, that means I can do advanced things, but it also makes the simple easy. I can format a list very, very easily, right? And all of my Office skills apply here. I can go make a box bigger. I can make the text larger. But this is not PowerPoint. These are not static text boxes. These are bound to data, bound to everything that I understand about my account under the hood, and I can change that understanding on the fly. You notice as I'm doing that, the application is updating in real time. I'm actually using the application as I'm building it, getting instant feedback about how my changes are affecting my user experience. That's completely unique in this industry. It also means that I can build across applications. I can build action into this thing. Now, this is powerful, and this is fast. We haven't done anything particularly special yet. I'll be honest, there are other platforms in which I can format a list and put a logo at the top. But in any other platform on the market, that's about all I can do without writing code. Not so in Power Apps. In fact, we're just getting started. See, we're building a platform that has no cliffs, that scales from very simple use cases like what we just did together, all the way up to being the core foundation of our most advanced business applications. And I want to show you a couple more steps along that sophistication journey because they're very important and pretty powerful with what you can do. See, I can add static things to this application. I can go type into a box just like I would do when I'm building a presentation. But you'll notice as I did that, I'm silently updating this Excel-like formula behind the scenes. And in fact, every single property of everything in this application, how it looks, how it works, how it interacts with data, is governed by a language that millions and millions of people already speak and understand. How many people in your organizations write code all day long, are professional software developers? How many people can do spreadsheets? This is an order of magnitude more employees who can be productive here very quickly to do simple things like let's go grab the thing we selected off of the previous screen and pull together some data about an account, in this case maybe the full name, but then also to get more advanced with it. And when you cook with these parts, when you put them together, it means that now without writing code, I can start to do incredibly powerful things in an application. I can pull in multiple data sources. I can completely visually format how this experience is going to look. I can manipulate these things on the fly with my mouse. I can reach not just into this list of products, but I can start to look within the drawers, pull the things out of the line items, right? And I can even express logic over that data very quickly in simple formula language. In this case, I'll filter down a subset of these items. And as I'm doing that, I'm being guided at every step of the way, told how to complete these formulas. Oops. If I can use my autocomplete. There we go. Told how to complete these things and assisted as I learn how to do this, right? And as data goes and evaluates and comes back, I'm able to do even more than just the simple stuff. I'm able to actually visually format how this application is supposed to look and work. Let's pop back over to screen 2 here. Guys backstage, can you help me out? There we go. Thank you. Sorry. Visually format how this thing is supposed to look and work, right? I can go take that table and make it into a multi-column view. I can go make the multiple drawers, and then I can start to turn this thing into what the drawer is supposed to actually look like. Now, in just a few clicks there, I'm able to go button this thing up and show the employee what the drawer is supposed to look like so that they can take action themselves. And I can move that all the way forward to the point of action. It's not just about visually formatting this thing. It's about actually putting together the entire process. As I go and select these things that are missing from the drawer, actually go collect them, and then visually format based on that, right? Every property of every control governable here. I can go put simple conditional logic that I can fill out very easily. I can say, hey, if this item is in that thing I collected, let's go make it red. Just like that, I'm now building a responsive application. Of course, I can even mash up different data sources and build things together very quickly. I'm going to do this last step here, and then we'll see it all working together. So I can pull together just very fast and very powerfully a completely custom business process without writing still a single line of code. I can say, hey, leave your parts manual behind. Walk into this customer location, open a drawer, and say, hey, you're missing, oh, that one, and this one, and that one, and this one, and that one, and this one. Done. Completely transformed business process. There is not another platform on the planet that can change a process this fast. But it's not just about this one screen or this one piece of the process. It's really about the entire picture working together. Let's pop back to that first screen that we built. Now, this view is powerful, but it's actually not that useful. I don't want to give all of my sellers all the accounts in my database. I want to tell somebody exactly where to drive, given their geolocation and their identity. Tell them exactly where to go next. Now, that's a route mapping algorithm. I'm not going to write that in a one-line Excel expression. That's a great opportunity to write professional code as a software developer. Does that mean I have to throw this all out and leave behind all of this goodness that I've just very very quickly developed? Of course not. This is a platform with no cliffs. It means I can have a professional developer solve just that problem, write just the route mapping algorithm, and expose it as a building block here to this low-code developer right in the context of the experience. I can have them come in here and select a particular item, bring in this additional data source that's now custom, basically augment that list of 200 things that come out of the box with custom route mapping algorithms or image processing algorithms or whatever system you already have running. And if we fast forward here to the rest of this business process downstream, I'm going to build this order. I'm going to have a quote for a customer for this restocking order. I'll have a price on it. Now, I would not be an auto parts salesperson if I didn't also want to offer that customer a discount on that order. Now, discounting is hard. That involves processes. It involves approvals. It involves thresholds. Again, does that mean that I'm out of luck here, that I have to go, get into some much more complex process? No, it actually means that I can model this process just like I would write it on a whiteboard using Microsoft Flow, which is the automation and business process component of the platform. I can grab everything I know about the order, everything I know about the user, and richly format that process in real time together as I move and go forward. Now, as I do that, and I put those pieces together, it means that the experience of my employee on the front line is now completely transformed. They're able to walk into a customer knowing exactly where they need to go and how long it will take them to get there. They'll be able to get recommendations about an upsell opportunity as they go in. They'll be able to pop in and select a particular item and tool and refill an order, and they'll be able to go all the way down to this point of promoting a price and promoting a discount, requesting an approval on it, right? But the process doesn't even stop with what one employee on one device does. It cascades to everybody else involved in this business process. The approver in some other complete location, which actually happens to be me in this scenario as well, in moments will get their own notification about this particular request and can take that business process forward on their own. Oh, there it is, 47%. We can pop forward and keep this process moving. Now, this is just one process for one customer in one place, but there are experiences like this across industries, and whether it's Intercars restocking tool drawers, or IPS repairing motors, or 200,000 other organizations that are already building on this platform, the opportunities are endless, and we cannot wait to see what you can do with them as well. Thank you very much.
Wow. So this, Ryan sort of touched on this, but that was a real example. This was actually done by one of our sellers in Eastern Europe. Went into this customer environment. They were considering a competitive product and asked, what we could do with Dynamics, and talked a lot about their business processes, where they were struggling, where they thought there were opportunities. And this technical seller went away, came back 3 days later with a working application that they showed the account that was created to do precisely sort of what the customer envisioned. All without writing code, all integrating with the systems that they have. And so super, super, super powerful platform for hitting your core business processes that previously had no app for that, if you will. And so that's sort of the grand tour. Actually, it's not the grand tour. It's a little micro tour. We've got such breadth in this product line, not just across Dynamics 365, but about across the larger Microsoft cloud. It's impossible, even in an hour and a half, to really sort of drill into all the capabilities that we provide here to take you on your digital transformation journey. Next week, we actually have another live virtual event that will take you in more depth, if you want to join us for that, into all the capabilities of Dynamics 365, including details on all the new announcements that we made today. And behind that, if you're a glutton, there are hours and hours and hours and hours of deep dive videos into all the new capabilities that we're delivering. And so before I finish, I keep remembering to do this. I want to shout out to the people in Dubrovnik. So there is a group right now, hundreds of people, that are live streaming this event. And so they're watching. And I was actually, as I was sitting there, looking at them on Twitter. And so a lot of engagement there. Thank you for joining us. And for the thousands of other people who are online right now watching this live webcast, thank you for joining us. And for those here, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
In In today's data-driven world, a successful business is one that can analyze information with the intelligence to anticipate and respond to customer needs in real time. That is where Microsoft Dynamics 365 comes in. With the power of the intelligent Microsoft Cloud, it seamlessly unifies CRM and ERP capabilities, along with the productivity applications to enable you to identify and capture new opportunities. With Dynamics 365, all key parts of your business are connected. You are empowered to collaborate across geographies, have the insight to make critical decisions, take advantage of new trends, disrupt, adapt, and reimagine what's possible. Dynamics 365 enables you to transform your business for the digital age, giving you the ability to innovate quickly, move new products to market, develop meaningful relationships, and win new business virtually anytime, anywhere. With connected systems, every aspect of your sales and operations are optimized and easily controlled. So you have insight into your orders, inventory, and are able to develop, manufacture, and ship your products on time and on schedule. The pace of business is constantly changing. To anticipate your customers' needs, you need bold, innovative, integrated solutions that reinvent your products and your processes. Microsoft Dynamics 365 brings together the best of Microsoft technology, connects you to what matters, unlocks new opportunities, and moves you forward like never before.